God is good, and all the time. Let me just ask my good friend Timmy Ryan to come up here with me, because Stephanie in Congress called me her black son and called Tim her white son. So I thought it was appropriate that we stand here together. I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, I know the members of Congress have been identified and that they have stood up, and we have so many distinguished members here on the dais to honor this great family and this great leader of our country. I would like for those who travel from Washington, D.C., her family, extended family in Washington, D.C., will you please stand? Because I know that many of you traveled, some of you driven over here to be with us here today. So I want to thank you. Please stand. I want to thank you for being here. I wanted them to stand because Stephanie used to cook for us. And it wasn't necessarily the things that you may see on Better Homes and Gardens. It was a brown bag fried chicken. And we had a lot of good times together. And I want to thank the family for allowing me to speak, and I'm going to be very, very quick. I want to talk a little bit about the experience of being in Washington, D.C. I want to let you know, Cleveland, that you were represented by one of the best in the country. Stephanie had the common touch. If you had a congressional pin on or you were driving a cart at Cleveland Airport here, she made you feel like family. She made you feel wanted. She made you feel appreciated. I had the opportunity to travel with Stephanie to Ghana. I watched her as she walked around the slave dungeon in Ghana, touching the walls, crying and seeing the spirit of her brothers and sisters who once came out of that dungeon, and that she would be a congresswoman in the U.S. Congress. I also traveled with Stephanie when we were in Ghana. My mother, Congresswoman Carrie Meek, and Stephanie commandeered one of the embassy drivers and said, "Take us where we can really shop." And they pulled me along, and all along I was like, "We're not supposed to be doing this." They said, "Shut up. We know what we're doing." And I watched Stephanie walk along that wicker market and playing drums and having fun, and I'm watching all of these Ghana men just smile at her and wanted to be close to her, be her security there for a minute, but that's the way Stephanie was. I'm going to talk a little bit about Ruth Chris. Stephanie, on many evenings, we would get together and go to Ruth Chris along with Tim and others, and we didn't know how to sing, but they had a little piano player there, and we would sit there and sing sometimes, and voice cracking, and somebody would say, "Who are those bad singers?" It was two members of Congress. I want to let you know also that I spoke with my mother, Congresswoman Carrie Meek, who's Stephanie's sister in Delta Sigma Theta. And we spent some time on the phone. A lot of it was celebrating Stephanie's life. It took me 2 days. My mother and I talk every day. It took me 2 days to call her because I wasn't prepared for the call. And we talked, and just out of nowhere, my mother said, "Kendrick, she had an appointment. She had an appointment with the Maker. And there's nothing that you nor I can do about it." And as I started to reflect her closing days, I couldn't help but say I was right there and I witnessed this, but I didn't see it. She had an appointment. She had an appointment for the time for her to bring us together. The time that she spent with former President Bill Clinton, she had an appointment. The time, the friendship she was able to show to Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton, she had an appointment. The time that she left her vacation she loved to sail. She left her vacation, and I was talking to her. I said, "Stephanie, what are you doing in the airport?" I heard in the background, she said, "Senator Obama's coming to Cleveland. I got to be there." And she went there, and she called me after she talked to Senator on a one-on-one conversation, two leading together, and they talked, and she felt good about the conversation. And I said she had an appointment for her to have that conversation. I go back to reflecting on my mother when I was talking with Mervyn on the night when she moved on to a better place. Mervyn and I were talking, and he said, you know, Kendrick, right here on this porch, Mom and I sat here for hours just sitting on the porch. I said, she had an appointment. And when I think about the last time I saw Stephanie, and we had an opportunity to talk, it was a conversation just like every other conversation, but I know she had an appointment. And as she laid there in that hospital, and before she moved on, I had an opportunity for the last time to talk to her. I told her, I said, you're on your way to the other side, and you're going to see everybody that you love and appreciate. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there one day. But ladies and gentlemen, she lived a life that was worth living. She made everyone know. And God set it up in a way so that the world would know her commitment and her sacrifice and her commitment to him and the love that she gave to all of us. Thank you so very much for allowing her to serve. Thank you so very much, Cleveland, for showing the love that you showed her. God bless and Stephanie Tubbs Jones and her family. Thank you.
Great job. There was a famous song a few years back called I Hope You Dance. And it's a song that passes along some advice to all of us. And the refrain of the song says, if you have the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. And we all know that Stephanie didn't sit it out. She danced. She danced through this life with a style all her own. And she now gets to dance once again with her favorite partner, Mervyn. Whether literally dancing on the dance floor or dancing through life, she possessed the key quality of any great dancer. She was fearless. She wasn't real concerned with criticism because she got her instructions from the inside. And as Connie Schultz pointed out last week in her wonderful column, when the rough and tumble side of Cleveland politics reared its head and threatened Stephanie, she simply said, I don't have time for fear. Gandhi said, my life is my message. And so it is with Stephanie. Her life instructs us that if we live a life without fear, we allow God's light to pour through us like his light poured through Stephanie. We saw this light in her bright smile, in her catchy laugh, her high five she always liked to give when she made a witty comment, and the nicknames she gave us. As Congressman Meek said, I was the white son. We felt this light in her passion for justice and her warmth for humanity. Her life teaches us that if we live with courage and allow God's light to shine, we can travel farther and higher than we ever dreamed. That we can achieve the seemingly unachievable. And that we can break glass ceilings and overcome barriers with grace and joy. Whether it's Mervyn or Barbara or her staff or members of Congress or senators or presidential candidates, Stephanie's death gives us what she gave us so many times in life, our marching orders. To live a fearless life, to let our light shine, to bring joy and hope, to lift people, to dance. The daughter of Cleveland's life mission and the credo she asks us to live by is reflected in a short poem called I Am One. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And that which I can do, I ought to do. And that which I ought to do, by the grace of God, I shall do. We love you, Stephanie.